driven, and we are back, and we have three founders here who are Indian and who have settled down in Canada, right? And we have Shweta Tiwari, who's the CEO and co-founder of startup Reseau. Hi, welcome.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for that.
And Shweta will be moderating this panel. And over to you, Shweta.
Thank you, Gaurav. Good evening, everyone, and good morning for people joining in from Canada. Thank you for joining us. A very warm welcome to my co-panelist here, Kanchan Kumar, who's the co-founder and CEO at Remitter, Vartika Manaswi, who is the founder and CEO at Stackcraft, and Saubhagya Sahu, who's the CEO and co-founder at Grey Routes. So, welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm just going to...
Thank you, Shweta.
Yeah. So before we move on to the panel discussion, like Ajay mentioned during the start of the session, going global is no longer a choice or an option. In fact, every day we see technology companies expanding into international markets, and Indian technology startups are increasingly building products with a global mindset versus earlier, right? And owning to the virtual environment or the virtual way of conducting businesses today in the pandemic, it's a significant opportunity for technology startups based anywhere, not just in India. However, as we all understand, setting up a company in a new country comes with its own set of challenges. And today, our discussion is going to be focused on learning from these founders. How do you overcome those challenges, or what is the support system which is available for you to leverage while you are looking at setting up your base in Canada? So once again, welcome to everyone and my co-panelist. I would now request each one of you to give us a brief introduction about yourself and your company. Maybe Saubhagya, since I see you first on my left hand side, we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Shweta. So I'm Saubhagya. I am the CEO and co-founder of Grey Routes. We started almost 7 years ago in Mumbai. And since then, we've been working with multiple Fortune 500 companies, working on their supply chain digitization efforts. So we have a suite of mobile applications that allow companies to digitize their critical last mile processes, including in sales, marketing, and logistics. And our journey in Canada started 4 years ago, 3 years ago, in 2017, with DMZ's The Next Big Idea, 2017. So that got us to Canada on a 2-week market access program. And then from then on, we got a network of mentors, advisors. I happened to meet Kanchan as well on that trip, who was at DMZ. And so it got us invigorated about the opportunities here. And we also had been getting a lot of leads from North America, but not able to service those because of the huge time zone difference. So 2017 is when it started. Then 2019 is when we arrived here, did a lot of market research. I took part in the Creative Destruction Lab at Montreal that focuses on supply chain. Again, got a good network of backers, and then we created the company, and our journey started, and it's been more than a year now.
Interesting. Over to you, Vartika.
Okay, thanks, Shweta. Hi, everyone. My name is Vartika. I'm the founder of Stackcraft. So, Stackcraft is a SaaS-enabled marketplace for hiring engineers based on data rather than, random resumes and interviews. So we use audio and video as a technology to automate interviews, and that's how companies can hire and click a few buttons. So it's a community of around 7,000 curated engineers, 25,000 overall engineers from around the world. My journey in Canada started 2 years back, and I'm a second-time founder. My interest is mostly consumer social. I just took a flight, and I just arrived in 2018, and I wanted to figure out what's going on. So rather than going to Silicon Valley, I decided, okay, let me just go to the neighbors and see what's going on and see if I can build a company there. And the product that I was building that time was called BFF, which was a social networking app. And I was trying to validate the market. And we found a first customer, and that's really Stackcraft happened. And I discovered this whole market opportunity to build a big business out of Canada. And when we found our first customer, overnight I incorporated the company. I was just a tourist, by the way, there. I had no visa, no family, no connections, nothing. I was in Toronto at that time. and we incorporated the company, and things started. Now I have to figure how to come here in a legit way and do business, and be in this market. So 2019 is when I got my startup visa from Alberta, and my co-founder and I, we moved here full-fledged. So now we do a lot of business with companies in the US and in Canada. We have big clients like Paytm Labs in Canada, Amazon, RBC. So it all happened over a period of past 1 year.
Wow, that's interesting.
Thank you.
Over to you, Kanchan.
Yes, hi, my name is Kanchan Kumar. I'm co-founder and CEO of Revitor. We are a cross-border payments company focused on ensuring small businesses have access to global markets. What we started off in Canada in 2016, and that was after having done multiple iterations and multiple products, multiple experiments in India and Dubai. After having worked in these markets, we figured that we needed a place which provides us a stable as well as startup-friendly regulation, because we are a heavily regulated industry. We are regulated almost like a bank. And Canada happened to be the place which would do that. And it was a winter morning in minus 40 degree Celsius when I landed here with no friend, no family, but thankful to Ajay for an introduction to Alan and Matt at Drive and Futures in those days. And they said, hey, we got a place downtown. Why don't you come and sit and work from here? So that's how my journey started off. Of course, for us, it's been really very well. We have grown our team. We are spread across multiple countries now. We have team in US and Canada. All the customer-facing teams in US, Canada. Our engineering and operations continue to be in Mumbai. We today process hundreds of millions of dollars of payments for thousands of small businesses in North America.
Interesting.
And yes, and we started off by coming in on a visitor visa, incorporating the company, going back, coming back in. We just wanted to ensure that the company is viable, this place is viable before we actually apply for a startup visa. I'm here on a startup visa now. And along with my co-founder and a lot of other team.
Interesting. Right. So all three of you went for a recce first.
Yes.
No, I didn't come for a recce. I was very sure we are going to set it up here, just that I didn't want to get into the entire startup visa process and permanent residency and all of that till the time we figured that the market and the takes the product that you're building.
So Kanchan, on that note, when was the time when you decided that okay, you Canada is the geography where you want to go, and when did you decide that? When did that thought come? And just to add to that question, or just to extend there, how easy or difficult was the startup visa program process, and which you went through?
So for us, it was not very difficult. For the startup visa program itself, it was early days. When we applied for startup visa, it was still an experimental mode. It was not a permanent program that it is now. So it was certainly fairly easy. I believe their timelines have gone up now because a lot of more people are applying for it. Not in our case. However, the decision for us to take a startup visa took more than a year because it took us getting regulated, getting the platform built, certified, bank partnership, building all the products. So we waited for almost 1.5 years while doing shuttling in and out to ensure that we build product, we take it to the market, and we have customers to say, yeah, I think we need this. Can I also get my friend to sign up? And that's when we figured that I think we have a business to run here, and now I think we should take a startup visa and run on this.
Interesting. And Vartika, in your case, with your experience, and it's not just with you, but with others also that you keep supporting in terms of or guiding in terms of startup visa program, can you share your experience and for our audience to understand the process and how easy or difficult it is today?
So when I came to Canada, I didn't know about the startup visa program. honestly. And I just came here to do the market validation because, once failed, I was very sure that I want to be in the right market because my products were failing because the market was not right. And so I want to be very sure that this is the market that I want to be in and be myself. I have no fascination in being in a foreign country. So now, when I started finding customers and started showing results, so I was on a visitor visa and I had to incorporate my company in the US because now have to take payments and whatnot. And now I didn't even know if I could do business in Canada because, it's not easy to figure out all the incorporation laws and this and that in a matter of few times. And I started getting traction. I started seeing that people want this kind of a product. And so I incorporated the company via Stripe Atlas in Delaware in the US. And in 24 hours, we took the payments and the ball started rolling. My first customer paid us $5,000 and it literally covered all the cost in 2018. And then I was like, okay, now we have to figure how to come here in a legit way. I wrote IELTS exam and that was like an English test. I'm like, okay, now I have to prove that I am worth and I'm speaking good English and do this whole PR process. It's just not my kind of a thing. I rather focus on building a business. And then I figured the 30 organizations that are giving startup visa and what goes into it, it's just like raising funds. I started applying to those 30 organizations. And because we had traction, we had proven our worth to being in the land, to be in Canada, to grow the economy. And that is what I showed to all of these partners. I got my startup visa accepted by 3 provinces. And we selected Alberta, and Platform Calgary was a platform of choice. And 2019 is when February we landed in Calgary. And so that's how it really happened. Because we started finding customers and we had clients in California, in the US, we started saying, okay, now it's just a matter of being in the right time zone and grow the company, get more and more clients. So that was the fundamental reason, that helped us decide, okay, we have to be in this market.
That's good to know. Saubhagya, coming to you, I know in your case it was a little different. You went through a program first and then understood the market, got connected to the stakeholders. But when did you decide, before the program, after the program, that Canada is the country that you want to relocate or you want to set up a base? And my follow-on question for our audience would be to understand, was it hiring first that you did, or first you got a customer on board, got some assurance that okay, there is some business opportunity here, and then you started hiring people? So what was your journey like?
Yeah, sure. So in our case, since 2017, we were very observant of where our web traffic and most of the leads are coming from. So that is when we realized that almost 40% of our leads were actually coming from North America, and they were largely going unserviced. And that is what led us to explore both US as well as Canada. So for Canada, we took part in the Next Big Idea contest. And just 2 months after that, there was Uber Exchange that took us to the Silicon Valley ecosystem as well. So those 2 months were like our global accelerator of sorts that gave us a crystal clear picture of how the ecosystem is, how inviting it is, what are the prospects. And so that is what got us here. We spent our time here working on customer research. We connected with a consultant, a retail consultant on that trip, David Gray, based out of Vancouver, who was very critical for us in understanding the acceptability of what we provide. So if you're talking about providing real-time demand sensing for businesses, what is the kind of understanding or what is the kind of innovation requirement for companies here? And my sense was that Canada is a hotbed for pilot testing. I mean, the market loves innovation. The market loves deep technology. And there is a high amount of acceptability, especially if you go through the CXO route through a consultant. And we realized that those avenues were available in Canada. They might not be so available in, let's say, India or US. And that got us inclined towards Canada because it's largely a referral or a trust-based sales ecosystem out here. So that is what got us interested. contrary to Kanchan and Vartika, we are not on the startup visa, so we are still early years for us, early days for us. We're on a work permit, intra-company work permit, and we're going through the PR process right now. Still taking baby steps and trying to create a thriving ecosystem. But we got our customers last year. So we got Raytheon Technologies. They're a Fortune 50 player in the aerospace space. They're a large innovation consumer. So they're on board. We've got Coca-Cola. They were among the first customers, and like Vartika's payment, so they allowed us to cover all the startup costs. We did incorporate through lawyers. We did take lawyers for work permit aspects as well. And I believe they helped us out because given the timelines we were in, it was actually pretty busy last year. So we were trying to sort out how to crack CDL as a program, how to impress the mentors, how to impress the customers, how to get the first hires. And I believe good legal advice is critical. Good mentorship is advisable when you're trying to sort out 5, 6 different things at the same time as a founder.
And the best thing was everything was funded by the customer, or the
Yes,
initial route was funded by the customer in both your.
yes,
That's
yes. We
awesome.
also had to put in the founder equity as well. I mean, that's essential, right? I mean, when you're looking to create a business, you obviously have to invest in the beginning. I just allocate at least 2 years of initial investment, and then the fruits will start coming in.
Yeah. Interesting. So, Kanchan, coming back to you, I know you did touch upon how, so Remitter being in the BFSI space, which is a heavily regulated space, and every country's regulations are massively different. So, what are the best ways to get familiar with these regulations when someone is looking at Canada as a geography? And what's the business environment look like?
Few things that I think to be kept in mind, and I think Vartika touched about this earlier as well. Knowing the market and the dynamics of the market is extremely important. When you are in a regulated space, it is even more important. And the way to do that is two things. One, get the best talent and advice that you can get in the market. So we hired the best payment lawyer that we could. We had to hustle to get her attention. Jackie Sheenfield, she's a payment lawyer at Blake's, one of the best minds in payments. We hired her to give us advice. But at the same point in time, we were low on cash, which basically meant that we had to study every line of regulation ourselves to understand and familiarize and go to her with questions and not to give it to us on a platter. If you're a large corporate, you can afford to hire a lawyer which will create entire program for you on a platter. You pay $1 million and everything is up and running. We can't afford that, right? So you got to headlong into it, understand the whole thing yourself, and then use the advice that you get from your lawyer or mentor, or in our case, it was a lawyer, or consultant, to understand and help answer questions. That was critical for us. The second thing which matters a lot in any new market is understanding the customer behavior. Now, coming from India, you understand the payment systems of India. You understand what UPI means, what NEFT means. Do you think someone from Canada would come to India and understand what UPI means and what NEFT means? No. Now, how do you expect that someone coming from outside the country would understand what EFT means, what e-transfers mean, how the banking system works, what the cutoff times are, and because those are opportunities, right? So unless we understand what are the pain points that a customer faces, so understanding the customer behavior. So while we were building the compliance and the banking and the infrastructure piece, I spent a lot of time speaking to our potential customers, or just about everyone, to understand what the payment landscape looked like, what the banking looked like, what were the challenges people were facing, and what they would expect differently. That was extremely important for us.
And having that, so as a founder, you need to do. Gaurav, I know you are here. I'm on to my last question. So having so being a founder yourself, it is very much important not to, unless you have a lot of money in your bank account or you go through the process on your own. Coming to my last question to all three of you, and this is the best part of the learning that I feel the audience would gain from today's session. What were the challenges that all three of you individually faced in the first 100 days of moving to Canada, and how did you overcome those challenges? What was the ecosystem around that you leveraged to overcome those challenges? So,
I
anyone,
can go
you
first.
can go first.
Yeah, I can go first.
Sure.
Yeah, getting to learn how to cope with cold was one. Okay. Uh, no, in real sense, I think for us, I touched upon it briefly earlier. The biggest thing was talking to customers and getting their trust. When you get someone to handle money or give you money to handle, pass it on to someone else, be it the suppliers or employees, their business depends on this. They cannot take a chance. They would suffer a bad service, bad product, but they would not let that come in the way of business. So for us, understanding what would get us customers' trust was extremely important in first 100 days, because that is what meant that even if I build the product and the best product, whether someone would give me business or not, and that's something which differs from for every business, and that's I think the key that one needs to understand.
Yeah.
I'll I'll raise another point. So when we arrived on our initial market research so this was late May, uh, uh, experiencing the summer vacations, that was strange for us because practically until September we got no action from the business side. It was just too difficult to get a response or follow up because you would get standard out of office replies for the 2 months. So that's a bit counterintuitive compared to India when it is business through the year. So here you have to plan in advance. If you plan well in advance, then it's not an issue.
Yeah.
The
So
key.
in my case, I would agree with Kanchan. It's a lot about trust, and connecting your network bridge and meeting the right people at the right time. So from a Canadian market standpoint, I think the biggest thing is having patience and believing in your own product. Like these are typical entrepreneurship one-on-one stuff, right? Every market is very same. It's about the customers and having the right patience and delivering value. Once you're delivering value, people will come to you. So so that was the biggest challenge. I come from Delhi, so cold was not really a challenge for me. I was easily able to cope up with it. And yeah, in
I
my case, it was
minus. No, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
no. I was just saying, in my case, it was a super small team. I had to figure every single thing all by myself, like single-handedly. And we are still a very, very small team, very product-focused company. We're not scaling until we get the right network effects and product market fit. So we are still small that way, but yeah, we're doing good business across US and Canada.
That's good to know. Let's open up for some questions from the audience. Gaurav, can we take a couple of questions?
Yeah, we can take one question.
Okay, I don't see any question here.
Yeah. Any question? You can raise your hand and or you can drop your question in question box. Okay, so there is one. One.
Okay. No, I don't see any question.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Swarnima. Greetings to you all. I am working with Perfios currently. So, we are a well-established company here in India, and we are very eager to, expand our services into the Canadian market. So, what are the top 3 or 4 things that you can help us with, which we should first look into and then choose to decide what kind of route we want to follow? So anything on those lines will help.
Anyone who wants to take it?
I could take that. I think what is most important is to understand the market gap where your existing product fits, because you're a established company, which means your products have maturity, which as a startup it's very different because you could just mold the product to what the market needs. But as a company which already has mature products, it's a little harder. Not that it's not possible, but I guess what will be key would be to understand how, and I'm assuming you would have more than one product, then how each of these products or one of these products fit into the market gap which is there. Number one. Number two, I think figuring.
Kanchan, we lost you. We can't hear you. No, we can't hear you.
Okay.
So I can try to just add a point to Nima's question while Kanchan figures out. So I think it's essential to understand the sales methodology is a bit different compared to India. So India, given the plethora of competitive offerings, sometimes it just boils down to the list of features and the price point at which you sell your products. But in Canada, given that the number of competitors might not be that much because you are in a tightly knit neighborhood of a few other alternative offerings, it's important to understand the value, the quantified value that you're offering to the clients, and then be in a position to, let's say, charge a percentage of it or mold your pricing in a way that is directly related to the value delivered. That is very different compared to how you sell in India. So that is essential. Keep that in mind when you're selling. Don't just go with the same standard sales deck when you're pitching to a Canadian customer. They might not be familiar with that kind of selling.
Sure. I'll take one more question. Is it advised to not go for startup visa until you figure out your product market fit? Maybe Vartika,
I'm
Saubhagya?
actually I'm actually an example of that. So I haven't applied for startup PR visa
So
yet, but
I
we're going
would
through the
say,
process.
yeah, I mean, just to add to that, see, product market fit is a function of doing a lot of experiments. So it's about the market also. So maybe if you haven't found the product market fit, in my case, India was not the market, and that was the reason why I was failing. The market was failing me. So if you feel so strongly about your idea, you can still test your market in this, in this geography, and maybe you get your product
So
market
the
fit
question
get
is,
on it.
Vartika, the question is, should you find product market fit in Canada first before you apply for the startup visa program?
See, product market fit takes time. You never know when you're going to get it, right? So I think there are a few things that can even work in parallel. So you can still apply for your startup visa. To apply for startup visa, the biggest thing is not product market fit. It is about, are you bringing value to the Canadian economy? Are you going to create jobs here? Are you help the customers and grow the Canadian economy? That is the decision making for startup visa. Product market fit, it's your own business, so you have to decide it accordingly.
Sure. I do have a couple of more questions, but sorry, audience, because we are running short on time, we will address these questions separately on email to you. Since we have your details here, we will reach out to you separately. So, to all my three panelists, co-panelists, sorry, any last summarizing or words of wisdom for our fellow entrepreneurs here on moving to Canada, either in couple of words or in a sentence, if you can summarize.
I would just say
Sure.
Silicon Valley is a bit overrated. If you really want to build a global company, move north, come to Canada. Silicon Valley is very overrated.
Yeah, I'd like to just add that the two values which are very different in Canada compared to the rest of the world are honesty and integrity when you're pitching to customers. So keep it honest, keep it straightforward, and this is the true north. Where else? I mean, especially if you're in AI, deep technology, this is the place to be.
Sure. Kanchan, any luck? Can we hear you? No, we can't hear you.
All right. Okay. So I see more questions here, but hold on, guys. be ready with your questions because we are coming back with Sunil Sharma for Ask Me Anything, right? So be ready with your questions. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kanchan. Thank you, Vartika. Thank you, Sabhagya.